Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space, and I'm coming on today to share with you a file folder swap I made. It was a swap on Trashy junk journal, so a lot of it is aimed about recycling, and about 50% of our book has to be recycled, and it was themed around a file folder. So I had some of these old manila file folders, that's really hard to say, in my stash, so I decided to colour them, and I actually work on 4 at once at the start of this. So I'm just adding some paint, going with 3 colours, and just scraping it on really thin with an old credit card or an old gift card. It allows you to get some really cool scrapey marks in the paint, and you can do it really, really thin, dries really quickly, and it saves on washing up brushes. I'm not concerned about getting the paint, like mixing colours. I picked 3 colours deliberately that sort of went together, and if they mixed a bit, that wouldn't matter. And as you can see, I'm putting it on about 3 places at once. When I'm doing projects like this, I do tend to like to work on multiple pieces at the same time. It just makes drying time easier. And now I've got 3 more beautiful covers after the swap to use on something else, and I will turn them into something else later. So this one, I'm just using a variety of acrylic paints. There's a Franchoville one that's quite old from Spotlight. There's a Semco one, which is a thinner one. These are a bit more translucent paints. The first 3 were heavy body, and as you can see, these are a bit more translucent, and again a bit of the blue heavy body in as well. I believe that green one, that purple one's from Semco from Spotlight. So just your basic garden variety acrylic paints. Some acrylic paints are better than others. As I said, some are heavy body or a bit more opaque, and some are transparent. So I see you use a combination of those. Just drying them off. I give them a quick bit of a dry, and then I go and pop them on another place to dry. Now, blue piece of paper is a piece of what I call deli wrap in Australia. If you're in Australia and you go to the deli in our supermarkets, you can actually buy pieces of meat and different things by the slice, and in my particular local one, they put it in a plastic bag and then they wrap it in paper. And I've started to save the paper because it's nice and thin. It's almost like newsprint, but without the print on it. It's nice and thin, and it makes great collage paper. So I put some blue on that the other day, and just using that as the under paper. So if I go off the page, or off the file folder, I'm not putting paint all over my desk. So I have sped this up about 3 times to 4 times in some of the areas because it is very repetitive. But I decided to show you the 4 different looks I got from the file folders, and you'll see the 3 next ones coming up. In my channel, I might make different things out of them. I might make journals out of, oh, these are journals, but I might make smaller journals. You have to wait and see. So how's everyone's day been going? Good, I hope. So just again drying that one with a heat tool. Because the paint's going on very thin, as I said, they dry super quick, which makes it really cool. And then I have a pretty piece of paper around the edges to use as well. So I decided to go back to pink and blue and the cream because I really like those colours. So hopefully now, we're now into the middle of February. I'm not quite sure when this video is going to go live, but where kids are back at school, routine's getting back into it. I've got a bit more time during the day to play and edit. I find I get lots of time to film the videos and edit the videos, but then it comes to the voiceovers and I have to have a really quiet spot. And if there's not traffic outside my door, it's Alexis in my ear, or it's construction down the road. It's very hard to find a quiet spot. Or I make the voiceover and yawn through the entire thing and have to do it again. Trying not to yawn through it. So this one I decided to add 4 colours, decided to add the purple in as well. Trying to use up a fair few of my paints. Quite a few of my paints are several years old, and before they go bad I'm trying to use them up. So this is a good way of using them up as well, even though you do only use small amounts of paint. I'm sort of on a mission this year to not buy any more paints, to actually use them up. So quite a few of the sheets are a little sticky. I don't know why they dried sticky. I did do this when it was very hot, so maybe that's the reason. So I'm just giving them a coat of clear gesso. Now this is in a sauce container, and it's a homemade clear gesso. Sorry, just trying to think of the person that I got it off, but it is a recipe off the internet. I can try to link the video below. But it's basically white school glue water, and it's a white powder. It's either marble dust, or I got the other version, calcium something or other. If you're very interested, I will go check it out. I'll go find it and put the link in the description box. Basically what the clear gesso does is it will dull down any glossy surface, or it'll seal the paper, so then when you put something else on top, the surface is not porous, and then it does protect. It protects the colours underneath. So I could have applied white gesso, but white gesso would have whitewashed the colours out, and I knew I was going to mute down the colours with the tissue paper that I'm applying. And that's the step I'm up to at the moment. At the moment I'm using some Montmark matte medium that I'm trying to use up. These were my words for last year and this year, trying to use it up. So I've got lots of little bits of things, like this matte medium only had a fraction left in it, so I tried to use it up. I've started a new series on my channel, and it's probably going to be quite irregular because it just depends on when I use things up. But if I use up paints or gessos or matte mediums, pens, those sort of consumable items, not so much paper pads, stickers, packets and all that sort of stuff, but more the consumables, I will be doing a empties video, and I do have my first one up, so you can search for that on my channel. And when I have sufficient fill in my box, I will do a quick review on, as a bit more of a display of the matte medium. It's quite good, matte medium, this one. Montmark's a sort of a cheap brand. You can find it in a lot of $2 style shops, even though they're not $2 style shops anymore. They're a bit more expensive. You can find it in those sort of shops. So it's more of a basic art level matte medium. I do like it. I prefer Liquitex, but the price difference is like buying a Ferrari and a Toyota. So if I can get the Ferrari on sale, I'll buy the Ferrari, which is Liquitex, and if I don't, I've tried this one and it's quite good. So just adding layers of tissue paper, just picking 3 tissue papers and putting them around. I do prefer the matte medium over the gloss medium. You can get it in 2 different forms. So basically matte means it's a tiny bit glossy, but it's not shiny, and your gloss medium is very shiny. Often if I've only got gloss medium, I will add a coat of clear gesso over the top just to dull down the glossiness of it. So these tissue papers come from a variety of places. I believe the rose one came from the Reject Shop quite a while ago. We don't tend to get a lot of the printed tissue papers in Australia. They're really hard to track down. The pink, green, stripy one, I believe, was also from the Reject Shop a little while ago. And I believe I'm using some text paper there. That would be from Kmart a fair while ago. Everything's a fair while ago. So I do apologise if you go searching and can't find one of the products I use. Again, I think these 3 come from the Stars. It's sort of like a wrapping paper. That one's a wrapping paper. And what third one am I using? Oh, more of the text. But Tim Holtz and quite a few other brands have different wrapping or different tissue papers commercially in the scrapbooking industry or the mixed media industry. But I find the ones from sort of the Reject Shop and cheaper shops like that a bit more affordable. Not as pretty designs, but you never know. Sometimes it's a bit of hit and miss, and you can get a really nice one. I do like the silver flowers. Sorry, not flowers, silver stars. So I sort of did 2 of these albums, sort of boy-ish colours, and then I did 2 of them girlish colours. I don't know why I did that. I ended up sending one of the girlish ones out for the swap, and I've got these 3 left. So using all bits of the tissue, if I rip off or tear off tiny pieces, just adding it here, there, and everywhere. And I apologise for yawning. Seriously, I'm not tired. I do not start yawning. It is only like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I do not start yawning until I turn the voice recorder on. Then all of a sudden my brain goes, you're doing a voiceover, let's sit here and yawn all afternoon. I don't know. So with the matte medium and the tissue paper, the easiest way to apply it is to put some underneath, so just apply some to the surface you're applying the tissue to, and then with a fully loaded brush you go over the top of it. So this is the last one I believe I'm doing. I think I could be doing some more. I could have gone ahead and stenciled over the top of the tissue paper. I could have added some stamping, but I sort of wanted to keep it a bit plain in case the owner of the project wanted to dress it up a bit. I may, the 3 that I have, I may go back and add some more too. I don't know yet. Depends where my muse takes me. I had so much fun sitting down and doing these. It's a great project to do if you just want to sit down and play but really don't know what you want to do. You can just make some journal covers that don't have to be on manila folders. You can do some collaging on some really heavy paper. Some old recycled calendars work really well. And you can just sit there and slap paint on, put tissue paper on, and then go from there. And then your muse or your inspiration will be drawn from what you're doing. As the tissue paper is nice and thin, it tends to go really translucent when you stick it on. The silver not so much because it was all printed, but you can sort of see within the stripes and the text. The paper almost disappears. Which makes it really nice. I am wanting to make some of my own handmade tissue paper, and I will do a video on that one day. I have a whole list of videos I want to make for 2000 and what year are we in? 18? Still getting used to saying that, and it's the middle of February already. And if you've got any hints or tips for video ideas that you'd like to see me do, let me know. So now I trimmed up the edge off camera of the tissue paper and things if they went over the edge, and now I am gluing some of this newspaper print to the inside of the album. I'm using this horrid glue that I want to use up. It's an Elmer's glue and it's supposed to have no wrinkles. It was only like $1 at the reject shop. Probably about 18 months ago I picked this one up just to try it because I was running out of glue, and I ended up throwing the second one half still full out, which I hate doing, but it was so sticky and gross and I just didn't like it. So I'm persisting here trying to, and as you can see it's pulling up and I'm adding more glue and it was just a nightmare. So I probably wouldn't recommend that particular glue. And it's gone all yellow, and I don't know whether it was old because it was at the reject shop or whether it was yellow and sticky to start with. I've not seen it again, and I have not seen it before that, so I don't know. As I said, I have done an empties video, which I think I would love to see a lot more Aussies do that because we have access to different products than the US, and I'm trying to not watch a lot of US hauls or UK hauls because I see products I'd like and then they're either unattainable, too expensive, or I need to find an equivalent in Australia. So I encourage all you ladies out there in Australia to do some videos on your favourite mixed media products or your favourite glues and things so we can have a few more opinions out there and a few more. And I believe I actually did this one upside down. One of them I did do upside down, which was highly intelligent of myself. I don't actually make you watch the other 3 of sticking it in the inside because it's just basically sticking paper to paper. I do use a different glue though. I use the white one next to me, which is like a PVA glue from Daiso, which is a much better glue. So just trimming up the edges. So I do like how the file folders worked out. Nice and cheerful. I may save the other 3 for Happy Mail. And you can see there the paper's peeling up and I have to go back and add a bit more glue off camera as well. And there I realise it's upside down, but I will deal with it. I may add some more You can't really tell it's upside down on the front apart from a little bit of text. So I may go and stencil over that and fix it up. As you can see there, I'm adding more glue because the edges were peeling up. So then the fun began. I get to go and dive into my stash of trash and decide what I want to do. So this is all I pulled out. I didn't use all of it, but we didn't really have a theme with this album, so it was eclectic. Of recycled, had to be at least 50% recycled material, so recycled brochures, recycled old book pages, recycled packaging, which I didn't include that much recycled packaging in this particular one. That one there is a sewing flip out. So here I'm just working on my signatures. I believe I put one signature in here. So I'm just thinking how I want these pages to go. That one I'm putting aside to sew, and I think I might have been catching a Pokemon then. Whoops! Sometimes I have the game going while I'm sitting there watching YouTube videos and crafting. So just flipping around with all sorts of flip out brochures. Some brochures are better than others. That particular one I like because it's a heavyweight card from, I think it's a shoe store. Different size brochures. That was a chocolate box. I don't think I ended up using that one. Folding up some scrapbook papers just to have some pockets and things. I haven't made a lot of trashy junk journals like this, so I was sort of just going on what I would like. Basically, when I do swaps, if I make something that I would like to use and keep, that is sort of my, I suppose, barometer of sending it out to someone else. Now, if I would like it and I would use it, and other people may be different, cutting up a large envelope here to open it up, because it is the size of the file folder is 2 A4 pages opened up, so sort of A3 size. I do need to open some of these envelopes up. So just playing around with signatures, wanting to get it quite eclectic and quite sort of different pages here and there. It doesn't bother me that that one is ripped. I decided to throw in a tissue box because I love this tissue box. But personally, I probably wouldn't sit there and colour it, and it's my year to use up things and pass things on. So even though I've kept that coloured tissue box for probably 12 months, I have not done anything with it, so I decided it was time it went in the book. And so I blessed someone else with it. Yes, I could have kept it and cut stuff out of it and done stuff with it, but I decided to move it on. So a lunch bag from Hungry Jack's I decided to, or a paper bag from Hungry Jack's I decided putting as a funky pocket. So just wanting the pages to be different as you flip through them to give them a lot of interest. Hence why I'm flipping back and forth and adding the different pages. What I'm putting off to the left is pages that I do want to sew, and pieces that I do want to sort of sew together and add a bit of interest. So this is the first junk journal I've actually sewn in, and I give you a flip through in a couple of minutes showing you all the pieces I've sewn. I was very happy, had loads of fun doing the sewing part of it. Just newly got a sewing machine and having a ball. Fiddling on the phone again for some particular reason. So folding the flaps different ways. I've seen people use vertical pockets, horizontal pockets, and different things. So just trying to make it interesting. So this was meant to be an album that you can, and that is a tab with a file folder from a sewing book or a knitting book that was bound in a ring binder. So they were fun to use. So it was to be bound in the file folder to someone actually use as a journal. So I'm hoping my partner has received this and very excited. I'm not sure, I don't think she does YouTube videos. That's why I thought I'd show you the process. But just adding in things like security envelopes and different things. I did do a very loose binding, which I do explain a bit more in the end of the video. So if she wanted to, she could take the pieces apart and deconstruct it. So there are all my pieces. There's some jelly prints as well, some cards. This bag I wanted to use somehow. So I'm trying to work out how I'm going to use that. It's a bag from Officeworks, one of our stationery stores. So I do collect a lot of junky ephemera that I will eventually use. So I decided to cut the front off the bag and use it as a large pocket. So this is just about this video. I didn't show a video of any of the sewing. I am going to do that at one stage. I just have to configure a new tripod situation. So I'll leave you with it now. Next you'll see me flipping through the completed album after I spent probably about 2 hours sewing bits and pieces to pieces. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back. So I've finished one of the file folders. You've just seen me do a process video of the 4 painting them and decorating the covers and the insides. So this one's for a swap, so I have put the pages in it. It's for a swap within Australia, and it was a file folder journal swap and had to be bound in. And this is for a Trashy junk journal swap, so 50% of it had to be trash or had to be recycled stuff. So you see me do the cover. So basically the cover I did with paint and then applied tissue paper over the top of it. And I sort of left it like this so that the person with the swap can add more stuff or not. The inside I've used some of this paper that I got, and it's sometimes what florists wrap their bunches of flowers in. So it's big like wrapping paper. I did a fair bit of sewing in this book. It's the first time I've ever sewn in sort of a junk journal, and I sort of learnt some things and things not to do. Alexis and I got a sewing machine for combined Christmas, combined birthday present, and we've opened it and started playing with it. She wants to make a dress in the summer holidays, which I think is really cool. So we've just been practicing on paper and just having some fun sewing. So the first page is an old diary page, and I'll sort of make it as a pocket. So this is quite a thick cardboard. So a lot of the sewing can be undone, so if she wants to take it apart, she can. So there's some post-it notes. This page here is a page from a sketchbook. I took out of my daughter's sketchbook when we're thinning it out. Another little pocket. I love the idea of sewing these little tabs on. I don't know, haven't really sewn before, so I like the idea of this. This one's a pocket. So basically it's a 12-inch page, fold in half, and I sewed down, pulled a little bit of flap down, sewn that, and then sewn down here just to hold it as a pocket. And that's just a parcel note we get in Australia to pick up our parcels, so I keep those. And a little tag on here. So I found the sewing machine, if I went quite slow, would sew quite thick cardboard. So that's a tag off a piece of clothing. It's a piece of grid paper from an old book. An envelope, a business size envelope, security envelope, and these are just some post-it notes. That was a keyboard post-it note I picked up somewhere or other. Some wrapping paper. I love the crossword wrapping paper. Some scrapbook paper, more scrapbook paper, a coffee filter in a little pocket, so I just tacked that on down the bottom. Folded this over and sewn, just to sew it sort of like a pocket as a postcard to colour in. This one's rather cool. This one I used as a tab for the book, and it's also a pocket. So this little thing is from a needlework little book I picked up at a garage sale, and that's just on some of that sketchbook paper as well. So you've got the sewing on the back here, so it adds a bit of design to the blank pages. This one is a chocolate wrapper onto some graph paper as well. I tried to add something to just about every page. That's a security envelope. As you can see, all the pages aren't level, they aren't even, which I like as well. Hopefully my partner likes this. So this is a brochure from Sports Co. I love the Merry Christmas on the front. Even though it's not a Christmas album, I decided to put it in. So again, I made it into a pocket. Where's that yawning coming from? Hello, yawning, go away. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, I shouldn't be yawning, seriously. So I did learn a bit, and I don't see a lot of people doing sewing on pages for junk journals on YouTube, because I couldn't find a lot. Maybe I wasn't searching the wrong thing. But I might show you how to make some of these pockets, because you've got to think about different ways to sew it than material. So this one's just been a brochure that's been in half. Both little pockets. So this one's just a greeting card and an envelope that was stuck in there. This one, I love this page with all the bits down the side. This is a bit of scrapbook paper. So these are tickets from my daughter's clothing, a size tag. She likes all the tags cut off because she doesn't like it. This is something from dinner. So I'm keeping all these little bits, and I just love them sewn on. So if my partner wants to take these off, she can easily cut the stitching and take them off, which will be rather cool. There's some pages from that needlecraft book. That was quite old. Oh, that's just an envelope. There's a sewn pocket on a jelly print. Now, because this is an A4, basically this is a file folder. This is A4 size this way and this way. To get the pages, I either had to fold them like this 12-inch piece of paper, or what I did with these two jelly prints is actually sewn them together. So I overlapped them via a centimetre and then just sewn 2 strips up the top. So the sewn bit is actually in the binding. And that allowed me to get larger pages. Otherwise all my pages would have been like this short, which would not have looked that good. So a tissue box, I love this tissue box that you can colour in. And I basically just split it in half and sewed it into the binding. So again, she can take it out. I've just done some simple binding. The other half of a security envelope, an old calendar just sort of sewn onto a piece of graph paper. So it's got a lot of spots for journaling, a lot of spots to add stuff. You could use it as an art journal, you could use it as like just writing. It's got a lot of space for writing as well. So this is another jelly print. You can see my line of stitching here. And there's a line of stitching on the other side to hold the pieces of paper together. You can see that there. So that's got a lot of space for writing as well. So this one's a little coffee filter. This piece of paper I sort of folded just a tab, so it wasn't a full sheet of paper, so it would still have a decent piece. I'll show you, it's a decent piece on the back and just a little tab. So I added the coffee filter to it and the postcard. Another one from the Needlecraft book, McDonald's bag. Now I didn't do anything with this side of the bag. She can cut it here to make a pocket or just make it as a page. It's a piece of Case Craft scrapbook paper and I put a little coffee tape as a tab, sort of just for something different. And what I did was I did all the sewing to the pieces before I bound them in the album. So yeah, I might do a video on that. Again, this one's sewn into like a little pocket. Hello Fresh brochure that pops out. This is a little thing of packaging that I've sewn around. And we're just getting to the back pages now. So back pages of the scrapbook paper, back pages of the knitting, back pages of the jelly print. If you don't know what jelly print is, it's basically paint that you roll out onto a surface and make patterns in. These are stamps that I've designed with my business, and then you take a print of paper with it. I've got heaps of these. Some more graph paper, security envelope. So there's lots of places for writing, lots of places to do stuff. Little envelope. It's another one of my gel prints, one of my stencils that I make and produce. So just some stickers, a little card, and some post-it pieces, post-it note pieces. So that just goes in their little envelope and just sticks in the pocket in that way. And this is just a piece of the page that I've sewn together as well, the two pages. So I love the turtle. The turtle's quite cute. Love the cameras. So again, this is just a piece of packaging off a pad of paper, and I've just sewn it on there like a little bit of decoration. So this is again another pocket. This is the other side of the pocket. So we've got more Australia Post, parcel notes, some post-it notes, and a little paper bag. So I tried to fill all the pockets with something. Back of the security envelope, back of the grid paper. This here is the back of the sketchbook paper, and this here is a side panel from a Officeworks paper bag. I've used the front panel, I'll show you in a minute, but that's sort of made that as a long pocket but left half of it open. It's the other little flap of that side. So you could add more stuff to this to make it a bigger page. This I've just sewn straight down just as a bit of decoration. Calendar page on the back of this scrapbook piece of paper, back of the crossword, back of the security envelope, back of the grid paper. This is the back of the little pocket that I made. And then this is the back of the Officeworks bag. So I was going to include the whole bag, but I like this design on it. So this is actually turned into a pocket as well. I left the handle on. You can easily take the handle off. It does stick over the top of the book a little, but I thought that makes a cute quirk to it. So it is a junk journal. So I've just done a big zigzag around here on 3 sides, and then she can slip stuff in the pocket. And then it's just been bound with twine, if I can find the middle of it. So it's just been bound with twine in the middle. So that is my Trashy Junk Journal file folder for a swap within Australia. I'd love to do more swaps next year. Just got to see if the budget allows and the time allows. I do have 3 more of these decorated, the covers. You saw me do 4. When I'm working on painting and gluing like this, it's nice to work on multiples, because when one's dry you can work on the next one, etc. So I will be making them into journals because I've got loads more stuff. This did not even scratch the surface of the stuff I've been collecting. It's actually amazing when you start doing this sort of junk journaling as how much stuff, when you start putting aside, comes into your house, through the mail, through the junk mail, through just picking up brochures. That one comes through the junk mail. Just picking up old books to discard. And if I buy any more old books, I don't need any more old books. To disrupt old calendars that I've kept. Clothing tags. Once you start collecting, it's amazing how much stuff you start collecting chocolate wrappers that my daughter eats. Brochures, if they're a good heavy weight, and this one is, I collect 2 or 3 of them every time I walk past the store. Little tags that was from a recyclable bag, clothing tags. This was from a takeaway tag. So it's amazing the little bits that you collect, and then they just look awesome. So I hope you enjoyed my journal. If you got any constructive criticism, I would love to hear it. As I said, it's my first one I've sort of put together with the sewing, and I did learn quite a few things, so I will be doing an upcoming video on that. I've just got to work out how to set up my camera. At the moment it's an overhead camera, and I've got to go back to my tripod and try to set it up so you can see me sewing, because if I sew at this angle, you're just going to see the top of the sewing machine and not see much, so I want to have it in from an angle or do something. So that's on the cards for January. And we might even film Alexis sewing her dress. We will have it look. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope my swap partner enjoys it. Bye for now.